What's up, small business heroes? I'm so excited for this unique episode. So, as you know, I'm so proud of our signature PR program I built for small businesses. It's called the PR Starter Pack. And the most important element is community. Every month, I get on an in depth coaching and workshop style call with our members. And I even sometimes have top tier journalists come on as well. Through these calls, questions are being answered. We're getting pitch reviews, feedback, and learning from each other is really spectacular, right? So I've compiled some of the questions that I get on actual coaching calls in hopes that it can help you start your PR journey. Remember, this is a $10,000 an hour task that we are building, a skill that we are building, knowing how to communicate our brand with relevance to get that hell yes from anyone on the other side. So PR is something that builds long-term ROI for your business. It's a long term asset, unlike social media that's not searchable. And that is why it's so important to do this work. I hope that this episode of some of the questions in the actual call will inspire you to start your journey. And if you want to come on these calls and meet me and our other members to get your questions asked, go to prstarterpack.com or just do a search for PR Starter Pack. I cannot wait to welcome you into our community so that you can ask your questions. Now, let's get into the episode. Someone says, I'm confused on what I'm pitching. Am I pitching my story as a founder, or do I pitch my group program, or do I pitch the importance of my niche? So the whole thing is like, it's all an ecosystem. Like, you are not separate from your group program, from your stories, and from your trials and tribulations. It's all getting you to this point, right? Now, what I really think it's not so much about, thinking about what to pitch, but what is the most relevant thing right now? Do you have any experiences that maybe is great for Q4? Or maybe if your group program is something that people are really looking forward to or is trending right now, then maybe pitch that, right? But again, it doesn't live in a vacuum because your group program is from your story as a founder. So, and Dr. Noor and Dr. Greta, who are service-based entrepreneurs, can also say, it might start off as a tiny little point about healthcare policy or COVID vaccine policy. And then once you get on the call with the journalist, right, that's when you can expand on your story. So it's not really like when you pitch one thing, then that article is going to be limited to one thing. It's really up to the journalist to decide what to write about. And you're just giving the first starting point of a conversation. The pitch is just to get the journalist to respond, to get on the phone and to talk more. The pitch is not writing the story for them. The pitch is not the story, right? That's why earned media has credibility, because it's up to them to use their discretion to say, does this person know what they're talking about? And then if so, like, how can I turn this into a story? Okay, so another thing is I'm struggling with the credibility portion of pitch. I don't want it to be long or sound like a biography. So definitely that's kind of the beginner part that everyone struggles with, right? When you start, you're struggling with fitting everything into a pitch, right? I think you've heard me say this all the time, which is it takes more skill and expertise to hone in on a pitch and write in shorter sentences, right? The hallmark of someone who's just beginning this journey is writing a really long pitch. And that's okay. We all start there, right? I definitely started there as well. Dr. Noor started there, right? Marsha started there. And as you refine your pitch and as you get even better on what is the best first two sentences, what is the most relevant thing, whether it's seasonal, whether it's trending news, whether it's commenting on a Fortune 500 company, whatever that is, you're going to be able to just realize everything else is fluff, and you can just get rid of the other kind of like sentences that don't really matter much. If you go into the portal, you'll be able to see how I write pitches. I don't really write, hi, how are you? I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, blah, blah. Like, no, like first two sentences, what is going on with the world? What are people looking at? What's happening in the news? What season are we in? Do you have any data? So that's really what I mean by, just don't even worry about the credibility part. That really is at the last portion. And again, credibility is more just confidence. Like, do you have the confidence to send this pitch is really all it is. So that's really what I mean. So again, having a long pitch, everyone starts there. That's okay. As you go through the training, the portal, attend these calls, you'll be able to see how I write pitches. You have so many people here who have also done the work. And the more you kind of pick away at it, and the more concise it is, the more you've really, really done the amazing work, which is the skill of knowing how to communicate. And it's a process, but it's really so worth it. It's going to help you with your Instagram captions. It's going to help you with your newsletter. It's going to help you with your web page, right? It's all copy. So that's really why I say it's really like some of the most important work that you can do. else's question. I'm launching a tinted mineral sunscreen in 36 shades for darker tones. Yes. When is the best time to pitch it to press? When I'm ready? I mean, honestly, I think that a lot of things, the beauty industry, and Pilar can say this as well, because she is spray tan artist, and there's a lot of things with colorism here. I don't see a lot of tinted mineral sunscreens with 36 shades for darker tones. So if I were you, I would get ahead of the game, and I would actually pitch this earlier. And look, if you don't have like supplies right away, like you can start collecting people's emails, right? There's always a way to get ahead of the game, you know? So I'd rather get ahead of the news story than be like, okay, someone else launched it. And the thing about launching something is you can only be the first once. And I do this on my VIP day when I do a press release. So like, you know, once you say that you're the first to do X, Y, and Z, and it's on Google, you've released it, then no one else can do that, right? So I'd rather you say that first. And if you're not comfortable with this because you're worried that you're going to get an influx of orders, which is actually a good problem to have, and you can always do a wait list, you can just start pitching generally, not focus about your product, but what you're seeing changing in the sunscreen industry, right? So that's another way to position yourself as an expert can do. Okay, question number 8. I'm pivoting and I want to pitch, but at the same time, I feel like I'm pivoting is too unknown and what I might pitch may not be relevant. What do you recommend? So you're allowed to pivot, right? We have so many people in the starter pack, like Tanisha, like Vincent, who now have gone on to like sell their companies and get new companies. That's fine. And that's what I love about pitching is it's really about your story, about your why, about your mission, about your values. You're not pitching to sell your product and who it's for and how much it is, right? So the more it starts to sound more like a product brochure or a business brochure, it's probably not going to get featured. What I love about earned media, it's really communicating your values, your expertise, your point of view, and how you're different. And so that's what I mean by like, it's okay if you pivot. Everyone pivots. I pivot. Everyone else here pivots. And that's really kind of another thing that you put between you and the send button that we just really need to get away, because we're always pivoting. Like even the news source that you're pitching to, like they're pivoting to. So it's fine to pivot. Okay, so number 10, what are the main reasons pitches don't get accepted? So again, my question is, what is the open rate, right? When you install an email tracking device, what does the data tell you? Like first start with testing your subject lines, and then which ones get opened, and then go with that. And then also your DMs, right? Are you following up? I think every person on here who have gotten media wins have followed up, right? Like Marsha, Dr. Nora, Dr. Greta, like, have you gotten featured without following up? Right? Like you got to follow up, right? Marsha, so it's not just an email and you're just like, okay, bye. Again, it's a garden. You have to keep watering it. You water it once, that's great. But you got to keep watering, right? So that's really what I mean by, don't get worried about the rejection. It all starts. First, you get rejected, and then you get a couple no's, and that's a good thing. It means you're getting a response. And then it starts to be like, okay, well, this is not going to work for me. Like, what else do you have, right? So really just think of it as a constant opportunity. Think about it in a way that it's going to work, because again, it's really the law of energies. If you think it's not going to work, you think you don't belong. If you're looking, it's like what Brene Brown says, right? You're always going to find the ways that you don't belong. But if you do find the ways that you can adapt and pivot, then so many opportunities get open for you. Number 2, I have competitive products and I'm super new in market. I think this is Ash's question. How can I pitch my vision without actually having it built out? Well, the thing is it's never really, like Dr. Greta says, it's never really about your product. Like, yes, there are some very specific guides that are like diving into your product, but the journalist is a generalist, right? So it's more about your mission, your why, what's the gap in the market and what you're seeing. And then you can have a link back to your website. So I really think that the whole point of what we're doing here, it's not a deep dive manual into your product and the benefits and how to use it. It's more about establishing your story and how you can be a part of the solution, right? So I hope that answers your question. And the best way to actually get ahead of competitors is to actually pitch before you launch, because what I would hate for you to do is launch and you paid so much money for a website, graphic designer, and you're kind of waiting around and it's crickets. So I'd rather have you ramp up, right? And be like, here's what I'm launching. Here's what's happening, spring and summer. If it's a tinted mineral thing, do that first before you launch. And that's a really good position to be, so that when you do launch, right, you're already going to have that compounded traffic. There's an article that came out this month and I got it because of Google Trend Alert. I'm so glad you installed the Google Trend Alert. If we have something to add to the conversation, give insight and value, do we reach out to the writer of the original article? Therefore, what changed my pitch completely, right, to fit this. I think if you always have a way to add yourself to the conversation. So that's just fact. It's just about how you position it. And I think, yes, you definitely should reach out to the original article writer, because one, it shows that you've actually read their piece, where it's like, I love your discussion about, like, for example, for Raphael's, right? We're talking about like winter cocktails and like, maple syrup, old fashions. If something's happening, if it's spring and summer, maybe it's something with edible flowers. I don't know, right? So that's, again, reaching out to the person, giving insight. It's a collaborative process. And the news cycle is always evolving. There's nothing that's dead in the water, right? It's always going to keep evolving. It's like energy. It doesn't get destroyed. It just takes on a different form. Just like your angle can be adapted to winter for whatever, like Val, who makes an incredible like wellness oil, that can be for every season, for every reason, right? So I think there's always a way to change your pitch. And Raphael, I don't know if I can share with people the pitch that we wrote, but I was like so excited. You can share with people what we decided to go with.